Would you believe that some of Korea's top male stars are redefining masculinity with sheer fabrics, bold silhouettes, and on-screen intimacy that isn't accidental? These 10 actors aren't just playing their roles, they're shifting the perspective on what it means to be a man in Korean dramas. There are no loud declarations, just presence, strength, and quiet rebellion. Watch until the end and tell us who surprised you the most. Ahn Hyo-sup doesn't need flashy scandals or grand pronouncements to command attention. He walks into the frame and suddenly you lean in closer. There's a gentle, elegant quality to his silence. In a world where K-drama male leads are often bold and full of themselves, Hyo-sup is a quiet storm, calm yet commanding. From his breakthrough in Still 17 to his global hit Business Proposal, he's mastered a kind of intentional emotional pull. The camera doesn't just follow him, it lingers. His characters rarely speak, but their eyes, they speak volumes. And crucially, his gaze, it's thoughtful, understanding, almost gentle. Have you ever seen a scene where silence speaks louder than the script? That's Ahn Hyo-sup's signature. But does this style of acting redefine power on screen, or is it just good direction? We're curious, what do you think? Off-screen, Hyo-sup's sartorial choices are just as interesting. As the face of Dior Beauty Korea, he's been spotted in soft, oversized pieces, flowing fabrics, and minimalist designs that emphasize genderless beauty, without ever trying to force it. From cream pastel blazers to baggy satin pants, his red carpet and magazine looks often challenge what a leading man should wear. For his Marie Claire Korea shoot, he wears a barely buttoned white silk shirt, paired with black wide-leg pants, and strikes a pose that's more balletic than muscular. No angles, no hard look, just calm and presence. Fashion that whispers, and that whisper resonates. His 2023 Gentleman's Quarterly Korea cover takes it even further. Think soft lighting, delicate fabrics, deep V-necks, and eyes that can break your heart or reveal the future. In one photo, he's relaxing with a book. In the next, he's standing in the shadows, wrapped in a soft, poetic jacket. Is it fashion? Exactly. But is there something deeper? A quiet rebellion against outdated norms? We're not here to label. We're here to find out. How do you interpret this kind of visual language from male stars? Here's what makes Ahn Hyo-sup so fascinating. He doesn't explain himself. He lets his work and his wardrobe speak for itself. And perhaps that's his greatest strength. While others go for image, he goes for atmosphere. While some go for dominance, he goes for vulnerability. There's a difference. It's easy to underestimate how intentional his choices are. But looking at his work, from Dr. Romantic to A Time Called You, there's a common thread. He doesn't just act. He meticulously crafts characters who subvert the conventional masculine image that's often seen on screen. Whether it's through subtle expressions or graceful poses, Ahn Hyo-sup isn't just starring in roles, he's quietly rewriting them. Do you think Ahn Hyo-sup's style and screen presence are reshaping the way Korean media views male beauty and power? Or is he simply one of the few stars who does it all gracefully and leaves us in awe? Share your thoughts below. Because here on this channel, we're not here to judge. We're here to explore, celebrate, and keep the conversation going. To be honest, Kang Tae-ho is not the most prominent name in the Korean entertainment industry. He did not make a splash with a blockbuster debut or cause a stir with a scandal. Instead, he came quietly, like a gentle breeze passing through a window before you even realized it was open. Ever since he appeared in After School Lucky or Not in 2013, people could sense something different about him. He did not try to be tough. He did not come off as arrogant or fake. Instead, he aimed for gentleness, and somehow that became his strong point. But his real turning point came in 2022's Extraordinary Attorney Woo. Playing Lee Jun-ho, a character with quiet strength and almost poetic softness, Kang Tae-ho captured the hearts of audiences all over the world. His on-screen presence is gentle without being weak, masculine without being cold, and emotional without being flamboyant. The way he looks at his female lead is tender, not possessive, not forceful, so tender. And in a world full of exaggerated intensity, it stands out like a warm light in a harsh room. So here's a question for you. Can vulnerability be a new form of charisma? And if so, has Kang Tae-oh mastered it? Now let's talk about the outfits, because if you've been following Kang Tae-oh for years, you'll notice something interesting. His red carpet appearances aren't just about dressing well, they're intentional, thoughtful, and quietly rebellious. While many actors cling to the classic tuxedo as a safety blanket, Tae-oh isn't afraid to break the mold. He wears soft pastel suits, long coats with feminine cuts, and even satin that flutters as he walks, dresses that lean toward flowing lines rather than traditional rigidity. One of the most talked about moments? His 2022 Elle Korea photo shoot, in which Kang Tae-oh poses in a pale gray silk suit with intricate embroidery. The pose is soft, the lighting dreamy, and the message is clear. This is a man who isn't afraid to show off his elegance. The photos aren't flashy, but they make people stop and wonder, wait, who is this? And why do I sense something new here? Which begs the question, when an actor dresses differently, not to show off but to reveal, does it tell us more about who they really are? There's a reason people are drawn to Kang Tae-oh. It's not just his looks, although let's be honest, he could sell moisturizers in a heartbeat. It's the way he makes you feel, safe, seen, maybe even understood. In a culture where many male leads are taught to act tough or be tough, Tae-oh chooses something different. He chooses gentleness. He chooses quietness. He chooses depth. And perhaps most surprisingly, audiences are responding. International fans are writing articles praising his emotional intelligence. Local media praise his calm yet expressive style. Even his interviews are lighthearted. He speaks modestly, smiles genuinely, and never rushes to take up space. He's not trying to be the front man, he's just trying to be honest. So, as we reflect on this unsung pioneer, here's another question for you. Does the future of Korean male celebrity seem gentler? And if so, is Kang Tae-oh one of the men who helped shape that future? Let us know your thoughts below. We're here to create a space where every perspective counts. Whether you're looking at fashion, acting, or how someone can light up a scene with their quiet brilliance. Can you believe that one of Korea's most beloved actors has built his entire career on silence? From the moment he appeared on screen in Moonlight Drawn by Clouds, things changed. His character didn't demand attention, he evoked emotion, and that emotional depth became his trademark. Audiences across Asia fell in love not just with Bogum's smile, but also with his silence. The long pauses before he spoke a line, the slight tilt of his head, the way he made his eyes sparkle, not with a tough exterior, but with something softer. In Reply 1988, he played a quiet, loyal friend who endured pain without ever speaking up. In Record of Youth, his performance as a struggling model was calm, thoughtful, and human. He carries his pain like a secret, and you feel it with just one look. Is it just acting, or is it a different kind of power, one we don't usually associate with masculinity? In real life, Park Bo-gum has always defied expectations, without making it a performance. His fashion choices are elegant, fluid, and often genderless, but he never tries too hard. In editorials for W Korea magazine, Harper's Bazaar, and Elle, he wears soft fabrics, long silhouettes, embroidered blazers, and billowing shirts that are usually reserved for female idols. Yet on him, they feel timeless. One particularly iconic photo shoot features him wearing a cream-colored chiffon blouse tucked into high-waisted pants, minimal makeup, and a soft gaze. Understated, undramatic, but memorable. He walks the line between tradition and innovation, without saying a word. Even at red carpet events, he often favors pastel tones, luxurious prints, and minimalist elegance over stiff, rigid suits. What makes this outfit stand out is not the fabric, but the comfort. Bogum doesn't look like he's making a statement. He looks like he's dressing with ease, innocence, and being himself. And that's what makes the film so quietly powerful. So the question is it fashion or is it freedom? Perhaps what sets Park Bo-gum apart most is that he refuses to play the same games as everyone else. While many rising stars chase after viral moments, he does so deliberately, thoughtfully. He takes long breaks between roles. He rarely appears on shows. He doesn't post daily on social media. Yet his absence is often more striking than the constant presence of others. Perhaps Park Bo-gum's strength lies in the fact that he remains an enigma, open enough to connect, yet reserved enough to remain elusive. In a world obsessed with labels, always naming, arguing, and imposing on others, Bo-gum seems to float naturally between the lines. Undeniably masculine, surprisingly gentle, he doesn't cling to tradition, nor does he call for rebellion. Instead, through his quiet presence, his elegant fashion sense, and the way he quietly commands the screen, Bo-gum is redefining what it means to be a leading man in Korean entertainment. So what do you think? Is Park Bo-gum simply a great actor, or is he quietly redefining the male lead for a new generation? One that sees softness as strength? Let us know in the comments, because we believe stories like these open up space for all of us to think, feel, and see differently. Can you believe that when Lee Jong-suk first entered the entertainment industry, some casting directors thought he looked too soft for television? In a world dominated by sharp jawlines and fiery energy, Jong-suk offered something entirely different, a quiet charisma. With his radiant beauty, expressive big eyes, and a gentleness that felt safe rather than passive, he didn't overwhelm the screen. He invited you in, not gentle in a fragile way, but gentle in the way a calm ocean can be powerful. His breakthrough role in School 2013 was about more than high school angst. It was about the vulnerability between men, even between boys, portrayed with a subtlety rarely seen on primetime Korean television. But I Can Hear Your Voice changed that. Jong-suk didn't strut across the screen. He glides through it, speaking more with his eyes than his words, creating space for silence. The audience isn't just watching a character, they're watching an energy. An energy that blurs the line between emotional depth and traditional masculinity. Is he strong? Sure, but it's a strength built on empathy, not ego. Now let's talk about fashion, because Lee Jong-suk doesn't dress like your average lovebird. In fact, he never has. From the very beginning of his modeling career, he's gravitated towards silhouettes that whisper rather than shout. Silky, watery gowns, soft pastels, flowing coats that make him look like he's just stepped out of a dream. He's appeared on the covers of W Korea, Elle, Dazed, and High Cut, and he's never stuck to the white shirt formula. Instead, he's deliberately aiming for a style that's artistic and romantic. Do you think this kind of fashion is just a style? Or is it quietly rewriting the visual language of male celebrities? Here's what stands out most about Lee Jong-suk. He doesn't try to prove anything. He doesn't need to. His power lies in his quietness. While others compete to be louder, bolder, or more outspoken, Jong-suk grabs your attention by doing the opposite. He lets his characters breathe, he lets his fashion speak, and he lets his silence, both on and off screen, speak loudest. Even off-camera, his demeanor is notoriously calm. He rarely engages in sensational interviews, never stirs up controversy, and speaks softly at press events. But when he walks into a room, people notice. There's a charm to his confidence. His roles often revolve around empathy, complexity, and emotional intelligence. Whether it's a truth-seeking journalist in Pinocchio, a misunderstood prosecutor in While You Were Sleeping, or a complex dual personality in Big Mouth. Each role expands the notion of masculinity on screen. Is Lee Jong-suk simply one of Korea's most stylish actors? Or is he redefining the concept of a male celebrity in Korean entertainment? Which of his roles or fashion moments made you stop and rethink your masculine presence? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We're always open to open and thoughtful conversations, because sometimes the most meaningful changes happen in the quietest ways. In a world where Korean dramas often favor actors who command the screen with brash statements and masculine intensity, Kim Young-dae is quietly rewriting the rules. His popularity isn't built on controversy or over-the-top showmanship, it's on subtlety. In Extraordinary You, he plays Oh Nam-ju, a character who's typically portrayed as cold and arrogant, but Young-dae adds something unexpected: restraint. His performance isn't about power, it's about timing, eye contact, and the tension of what's left unsaid. And in his role as Ju Seok-hoon in The Penthouse, he could have leaned into the chaos. Instead, he anchors his presence with stillness. There's something captivating about that kind of energy, the kind that allows silence to breathe. It makes you lean in, and it makes you wonder, what is he holding back? And why does it feel so powerful? Now let's talk about fashion. Kim Young-dae doesn't just wear clothes, he makes statements. While many Korean actors still stick to classic monochrome suits with rigid lines, Young-dae does the opposite. In a recent photo shoot for Marie Claire Korea, he wore an open-necked ivory silk shirt over a baggy beige jacket, paired with high-waisted pants and soft lighting. The effect? Graceful yet grounded. Refined yet confident. And it's not a fad. In Dazed Korea, he's wearing a blue velvet-trimmed jacket, standing under a chandelier, his eyes soft, his lips slightly parted, a pose usually reserved for high-end women's editorials. His beauty is not flashy, it's just there. And maybe that's what makes him so daring. Because in an industry that often prizes traditional masculinity, angular features, rigid tuxedos, scripted charm, Kim Young-dae chooses grace. He chooses flexibility, and he chooses balance over ostentation. But it's not just the fashion. There's something about the way Kim Young-dae expresses emotion that feels revealing. In interviews, he speaks softly but deeply. He once said, "I want to express subtle emotions, things that words can't express." That's why, in his acting, emotions are often hidden in the spaces between lines of dialogue, in a slight tilt of the head or a glance that lingers for just a second. What makes the film so interesting is that he never oversteps the mark. There's nothing flashy or dramatic, but there's something undeniable, an undercurrent that suggests his characters know more than they let on. And maybe that's why audiences find themselves watching him a little more closely than others. When you watch Kim Young-dae, whether on screen or in a fashion editorial, what do you feel? Is it just good acting, or is it a quiet challenge? A gentle rebellion against rigid masculinity? Let us know in the comments. We're not here to label or box anyone in. We're here to recognize, to appreciate, and to keep asking the important questions. Because sometimes the most beautiful changes don't come naturally. They come with grace and challenge, simply by being quiet. You know how some actors walk into a frame and completely own the room without raising their voice, without moving a muscle? Lee Soo-hyuk does it just by walking. With his impossibly sharp cheekbones, his signature slow gaze, and his posture that says, "I know exactly who I am," he doesn't act like a star. He's more like a fashion statement in a man's body. But here's the interesting thing. He didn't start out as an actor. Lee Soo-hyuk first made waves in the Korean fashion scene in the mid-2000s as a runway model for cutting-edge designers like Jung Wook-jun and Song Seo. His walk isn't just smooth, it's sinuous, graceful yet steady, almost as if he's gliding between traditional masculinity and something much more fluid. Even on the runway, he didn't stick to the typical tough guy image. He wore drapes, oversized suits, and boundary-pushing outfits. Once he walked in a sheer, almost transparent jacket over a low-cut tunic that wowed Seoul audiences in 2011. No show, just presence. And from that moment on, South Korea began asking, who makes androgyny look like power? When Lee turned to acting, he didn't suddenly change to fit the mold. Instead, he brought his fashion sense to his roles, and the screen loved him for it. In Scholar Who Walks the Night, he plays a 120-year-old vampire prince and somehow makes eternity look like a Vogue shoot. From his flowing robes to his somber silence, he creates a character that is both an elegant, haunting, and hypnotic. And then there's Doom at Your Service, where he plays a literal god of destruction. He wears a high-collared coat and stands in soft lighting like he was born for black and white cinema. The way he speaks, so plain, but every moment, every glance makes you wonder, is he hiding rage or pain? That's the power of Lee Soo-hyuk. He turns silence into subtext. You find yourself leaning in, reading each frame because his silence resonates more than most monologues. Aside from acting, Lee Soo-hyuk's fashion choices have always been as bold as ever. He's walked for brands like Balenciaga and Givenchy, posed for Harper's Bazaar in patterned lace and high-waisted pants, and even donned a sleeveless cape on the red carpet without batting an eyelid. He doesn't just dress differently. He dresses on purpose, mixing high fashion with softness, personality with elegance. He never once spoke up to define his style. And honestly, he didn't need to. The world saw it, felt it, and drew closer. When an actor never explains, but still leaves such a deep impression, what does that say about the power? Is it fashion? Or is it acting? Or is it the kind of quiet rebellion we've been waiting for? Tell us what you see in Lee Soo-hyuk's art. We always want this to be a space for open and meaningful conversations. No judgment, just curiosity. And if you've this far, be honest. Did you expect a god of destruction to don a velvet glove and make it iconic? When Park Ji-hoon debuted with 101, everyone thought they had him cute guy, the charming guy who walked in pastels. He became famous overnight and fans cheered every time he smiled. But when the group disbanded, Ji-hoon did something unexpected. He didn't try to maintain his image. He let it go. Instead of pursuing another pop hit, he disappeared into scripts. Not flashy dramas, not roles written for idols. He chose stories that required depth. Roles that weren't about his charming face, but about how he authentically conveyed pain, hesitation, or vulnerability. He didn't get into acting to protect his reputation, but to take risks. It's the kind of acting that most people remember because it wasn't flashy. But for Ji-hoon, it was all there was. In At a Distance, Spring is Green, Park Ji-hoon plays Yo-jun, a young man hiding his wounds under a calm, polished exterior. But Ji-hoon doesn't just act. Every gesture is subtle. Every glance lingers. His vulnerability isn't forced, it's lived. And that's why people stop. They're not watching another idol become an actor. They're watching a young man quietly redefining what it means to be a male character in a K-drama. Viewers saw it, critics saw it, directors began to trust him with deeper roles. And Park Ji-hoon continues to choose complexity. His characters aren't loud, brawny, or overconfident. They're gentle, thoughtful, and uncertain beauty, but never vulnerable. He's forging a new kind of masculinity, one that doesn't need to dominate a scene to own it, and that takes more courage than any powerful role. Look at his style, not to show, but to feel. At Days Korea, Allure, and Esquire, Ji-hoon wears silks, soft sweaters, sheer layers, outfits that match the emotional tone of his characters. He's not just modeling, he's telling stories with fabric. One of his most striking photos shows him in a long ivory coat, standing in soft lighting, hands in his pockets, eyes tilted slightly away from the camera. He looks like a man with a secret, but he's not afraid you'll see it. And that's the essence of his presence. He doesn't explain. He doesn't overdo it. He lets the emotions settle in the space between words, between gestures, between shots. That's what draws people in, not the noise, it's the silence. So here's the question we've been asking ourselves. When you watch Park Ji-hoon, not just as an actor, not just as a former idol, but as a man choosing these stories, these characters, these styles, what do you see? Is it just an artistic instinct? Or is it something more daring? A refusal to let others dictate what kind of person you're allowed to be? Let us know what you think. The point here isn't to pry into someone's life. It's to celebrate an artist who's brave enough to be gentle. Because sometimes the most radical thing you can do is to show who you really are and be gentle about it. Can a man be both sharp and soft, both resilient and emotionally alive? Jang Ki-young answers that question not with quotes or interviews, but with his presence. Standing at 187 centimeters tall, he commands attention with just one step. But what makes him unforgettable is not his height, but the silence he wears like a second skin. In Come and Hug Me, he plays a man haunted by his father's crimes. There are no dramatic monologues, no tearful breakdowns, just stillness, breathing, and quiet destruction. He doesn't show emotion in front of the camera. He lets the lens focus on him. In Now We Are Breaking Up, he's a fashion photographer. But again, it's the way he looks at people, not the way he poses, that carries the weight. We often think of acting as transformation, but Jang Ki-young shows us that sometimes it's about distillation, stripping down to the bare essentials. So let's ask, have you ever felt more noticed by a character who barely speaks? In real life, Ki-young walks a fine line between classic and experimental. But don't mistake his minimalism for prudence. In Harper's Bazaar Korea, he appears in a pale lavender silk shirt tucked into wide-leg pants, no belt, no hem, just smooth. In Esquire, he wears a monochrome outfit with a gray jacket over a mesh top. Nothing stands out, nothing catches the eye, but somehow you can't look away. And that's his signature. He speaks discreetly. Even on shows or press conferences, his demeanor is open, his smile subtle, his voice deep. He doesn't need to act masculine, he redefines it by completely breaking free from the mold. We're used to seeing men in Korean entertainment dressed to project power. Dark suits, sharp tailoring, dapper watches. But Jang Ki-young? He dresses like poetry. He brings a quietness to his style, and suddenly everything becomes more human. So we asked ourselves, are you drawn to the loudest person in the room or the quietest person who makes you bow? In a sea of spotlight-chasing performances, Jang Ki-young represents a different kind of star. Slow, deep, and genuine. He's not a celebrity, he's valuable. He doesn't try to impress you. He invites you to sit with him in the ambiguity. His characters often straddle two worlds, strong and soft, seductive and lonely. And through them, he's building a quiet where masculinity doesn't mean dominance, but depth. And let's not forget, this man got his start on the runway. Before there were any scripts or screen time, he was making a splash at Seoul Fashion Week. With his bold eyeliner, oversized trench coats, and perfectly layered sweaters. Long before that look was even mainstream. He didn't change to fit the industry, and that, in itself, speaks for itself. Is Jang Ki-young the kind of guy that K-drama needs more of? Someone who doesn't have to choose between beauty and depth, strength and quietness? We don't just track trends, we listen to the silent voices that shape them. And we want to hear yours too. This is a space for everyone, curious, kind, and open-minded. In a world where K-drama male leads tend to follow a formula, charming, well-groomed, always smiling, Kim Jae-wook has chosen a different path. He didn't audition to be the safe choice. He chose to be your question mark. From his first leading role in Coffee Prince, playing a Japanese waffle chef with dreamy eyes and a quiet intensity, Kim has brought something we rarely see on screen. A character who is both gentle and mysterious. The gentleness is there, but hidden in layers of mystery, and that duality has followed him in every role since. In Voice 2017, he became a fearsome villain, radiating elegance even in the shadows. In Her Private Life, he turned things around, this time as a brooding art curator with the emotional awareness of a poet. He doesn't play to extremes. He's always got subtle nuances, where glances linger longer than expected, where silences resonate more than lines, and somehow he makes it beautiful. Kim Jae-wook's fashion isn't just about style, it's about story. Through countless editorials from W Korea to Harper's Bazaar, he's become a man who can wear anything and make it count. Oversized coats, sheer fabrics, monochrome outfits with asymmetrical cuts. Nothing stands out, but everything speaks. At the 2018 Busan International Film Festival, he walked the red carpet in a burgundy velvet suit. No tie, no flashy accessories, just calm confidence and impeccable tailoring. He stood out not because he was loud, but because he was quieter than everyone else. And that has always been his quiet superpower. In Her Private Life, his clothes are almost a second skin. Soft fabrics, earthy tones, and trench coats that move like brushstrokes with each step. Whether consciously or not, this visual language broke free from the norms of hyper-masculine masculinity. He showed that elegance, sophistication, and depth can coexist and be seductive. Kim Jae-wook doesn't explain his choices. He doesn't need to. In interviews, he often talks about art, music, and space, as if his life were a gallery and each character he plays a new installation. His voice is soft, but his images resonate in a way that makes viewers feel. He once said, "Fashion reflects emotions." But in his case, it also reflects a refusal to conform, not to expectations, not to whatever a leading man is supposed to look like or act like. He straddles that gray line between masculinity and tenderness, the known and the unknown, and simply exists. And somehow, that alone makes him one of the most memorable figures in Korean entertainment. What do you feel when you watch Kim Jae-wook? Is he just a stylish actor? Or is he quietly changing his image entirely? Let's discuss it below. This space is yours too. Open, curious, and welcoming. In a world where rising stars often for attention, Bae Hyun-sung whispers, and somehow people listen. He started his acting career quietly through web dramas like Love Playlist, and then found a deeper place in the hearts of audiences with Our Blues, a film that asked him not to cry hysterically, but to feel honestly. His performance is full of silences, hesitations, subtle emotions that don't demand attention, but deserve it. He plays a high school student trying to come to terms with his girlfriend's unexpected pregnancy, but instead of reacting with panic or anger, Hyun-sung gives us a character who is tender, confused, and genuine. That emotional honesty, calm, controlled, yet still very human, has become his trademark. It's not the kind of role designed to steal hearts, but perhaps it does something more. It gives audiences, especially young people, a character who is genuine. A guy who doesn't pursue love with flashy gestures, but wins it with quiet care, with listening. That kind of gentleness in a male lead is rare, and Bae Hyun-sung breathes life into the character with a sincerity that lingers long after the film ends. Now let's talk about his looks, because Bae Hyun-sung is perhaps the quietest fashion rebel in K-drama. In photo shoots for magazines like Elle Korea and Dazed, he's posed in oversized wool coats, soft cardigans, velvet shirts, wide-leg pants in earth tones, and even a dusty pink turtleneck. No flashy logos, no over-designed drama, just soft fabrics, flattering prints, and soft colors. His style is anything but rebellious, and yet somehow it seems that way. In an industry that still expects men to be neat, minimalist, and conservative, Hyun-sung opts for comfort, gentleness, and introspection. And in doing so, he's quietly expanding the image of Korean masculinity, not with high heels or flashy pieces, but with softness and sincerity. He looks like someone who chooses beauty not to impress, but to express. When fashion challenges gender norms and acting challenges convention, what do we call that? Art or quiet defiance? What makes Bae Hyun-sung so compelling isn't just his looks or even his roles. It's his refusal to play the industry's game the way it's supposed to be. He doesn't give sensational interviews. He rarely appears on chaotic variety shows. Yet his popularity continues to rise, quietly but steadily. Directors praise him not because he is the loudest or the most intense, but because he has a deep intuition. For his ability to take a scene and fill it with tension, simply by acting it out authentically. In 2023, he was cast in Gyeongseong Creature, playing a young character surrounded by veteran actors like Park Seo-joon and Han So-hee. Once again, he stands out, not by dominating the scene, but by adding layers of emotion. And that is the essence of his strength. He is not overwhelming. He compliments, he listens, he responds, and he reminds us that masculinity can be patient, gentle, and sincere. So now we ask you, have you ever been moved by an actor who barely speaks, who never raises his voice, but somehow makes you feel understood? Let's discuss it. Share your thoughts in the comments. We're building a space where subtlety is celebrated and every perspective matters. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, follow, and support us so we can continue to bring you more meaningful stories. We'd love to hear from you. Which stars stand out to you and why? Let's keep the conversation open and honest, just like the stories we tell. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Lee Min-ho, redefining masculinity? Oh yes, he's on this list. In K-dramas, leading men used to be all toughness and silence. But now, a quiet shift is happening. These 10 Korean actors are changing how we see male leads, not with loud rebellion, but with soft fabrics, emotional depth, and effortless grace. This isn't about labels, it's about presence, energy, and breaking the mold, without saying a word. Remember when Park Seo-joon was the on-screen perfect boyfriend that everyone wanted? Now, he's bringing a fresh perspective to the role of a male lead. No dramatic gestures, no limelight, just steady, sincere, and impactful roles. He started out playing roles we've seen before, charming, romantic, secure. But if you followed him closely over the years, you'll notice something has changed. Park Seo-joon started playing characters that felt layered, men who were confident but not overbearing, assertive but still emotional. In Itaewon Class, he gave us a male lead who listened more than he talked, who showed strength not through force, but through empathy. And let's not forget his relationship with Ma Hyun-yi, the transgender chef in the show. There's no special episode moment, no grand speech, just a subtle respect, trust, and equality. In the typically stereotypical landscape of Korean dramas, that silence speaks volumes. Did you notice that? Or was there a moment when you thought, wait, this guy is doing something different? Now let's talk about style. Because if his acting has reshaped the emotional mold, his fashion has gradually reshaped the visual mold. Park Seo-joon is not only well-dressed, he's well-dressed. In a world where male celebrities are still reluctant to ditch tailored black suits and white shirts, he's strutting down the runway in silk blouses, wide-leg pants, sheer fabrics, and high-waisted pants. But the thing is, it's not flashy at all. He doesn't wear these outfits to get attention. He wears them like he just woke up, said, "Yeah, it looks good," and went about his day. Remember that time he showed up at the 2023 Chanel cruise show in Los Angeles? Park stood confidently in a sheer, pearl-embellished shirt, looking like he was in a French fashion campaign, and no one noticed, because he always dresses lightly. He doesn't try to dress like a woman or like a rebel. He dresses like Park Seo-joon. And that's more powerful than any trend. Even his everyday style is a stark contrast. His masculine features softened by loose sweaters or playful prints. Editorials in Gentleman's Quarterly Korea frequently show him bathed in soft lighting, clad in fabrics that blur the line between soft and structured. What's your favorite Park Seo-joon fashion moment? The pearls? The brooches? The elegant silk blouses? There's a reason Park Seo-joon is beloved by so many people. Not just K-drama fans, but also fashionistas, film critics, and yes, those who see themselves in the gray spaces between traditional roles. What makes him stand out isn't that he loudly breaks the mold, but that he does it without drawing attention to himself. There are no ostentatious gestures. There are no public appearance trends. Just consistent, intentional choices, both on screen and off, that quietly push the boundaries of masculinity. Is Park Seo-joon simply staying true to who he is, or quietly expanding what it means to be a leading man today? Let us know in the comments. As always, this is a space for fun, open, and respectful conversations. No matter who you are or where you're from, your perspective is welcome here. Can you imagine a man who can melt your heart with just a smile, then walk into a fashion shoot looking like he just stepped out of a French Renaissance painting? That's Park Hyung-sik. Born with a face that the camera loves and a warmth that the audience can feel, he's made his name not through his big statements, but through his soft power. From his explosive days in K-pop group ZA to his leading roles in hit dramas like Strong Woman Do Bong-soon and Happiness, Park has always stood out, not just for his looks, but for something more subtle. Something you can't put a name to, but you feel when he steps into a scene. Have you ever noticed how he carries himself on screen? The subtle gestures, the expressive eyes, the way he lets his vulnerability shine through without being afraid, that's rare for leading men, especially in Korean drama culture. So let's ask, is there a moment in one of his films that made you stop and wonder, wait, this is different? Because for many viewers, it's been a recurring one. If acting is the first, then fashion is the full confession. Park Hyung-sik's clothing choices, both on and off the red carpet, have become a quiet rebellion against traditional masculine norms. Whether he's wearing a silk blouse with puff sleeves, a plum-colored velvet layer, or a tailored suit accessorized with, he never seems to be trying to prove anything. That's the point. In 2022, his image in Marie Claire Korea went viral, not because it was over the top, but because it was graceful, subtle, and yes, quietly captivating. There's something powerful about a man who knows how to wear softness without having to justify it. It's not a costume, it's confidence. In a sea of black suits and conservative styles, Hyung-sik opts for flowing silhouettes. Do you think fashion can challenge perception without having to explain? Park Hyung-sik is not a real man. He plays the emotional center. Whether he's rescuing a maiden or being rescued himself, he always makes room for emotion. In OST number 1, his portrayal of love is not bold or impulsive. It is quiet, painful, and deeply empathetic. He listens more than he speaks. He reacts more than he shows. It is this emotional openness, both in character and in presence, that draws people in. However, he never explains it. He doesn't need to. His fans see it. The press feels it. Even his fellow actors praise his sensitivity on set. And that brings us to the final question. Can Park Hyung-sik redefine masculinity in Korean entertainment without saying a word? We're not here to label anyone, but we are here to celebrate subtlety, and Hyung-sik has plenty of subtlety. We always want this to be a fun, open, and meaningful space for everyone. So let's hear from you. What moments of Park Hyung-sik make you see him differently? Is it the way he acts, the way he dresses, or simply how he makes you feel? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Let's discuss together. Have you ever watched a movie and found yourself obsessed not only with the plot, but also with a particular actor who seemed quietly yet naturally different from the rest? If you've seen any of Choi Woo-sik's movies, chances are you've experienced that exact feeling. Woo-sik isn't your typical leading man. He doesn't rely on dramatic appearances or flashy drama. Instead, he draws you in with his subtle charm, subtle expressions, and unmissable style. Whether he's navigating tense scenes or simply standing quietly in the background, there's something distinctly appealing about the way he embodies his characters. But tell me, have you noticed it? Can you pinpoint exactly what makes him so compelling? Let's dig a little deeper into why Woo-sik stands out. Many people first learned about him internationally through his groundbreaking film, Parasite, the Korean masterpiece that made history by sweeping the Oscars. Remember the scene where Woo-sik's character, Ki-woo, carefully fakes his college degree to get a tutoring job? He doesn't need flashy gestures to make an impression. His subtle expressions, thoughtful silences, and thoughtful gazes speak louder than any dialogue. But what really makes Woo-sik compelling isn't just his acting, but the way he effortlessly brings authenticity to every scene. Even in real life, Woo-sik exudes a casual confidence. Known for his sophisticated yet unconventional style, he has been featured in fashion magazines such as Gentleman's Quarterly Korea, where he has been praised for breaking the mold. There's no denying that he is comfortable with soft colors, subtle cuts, oversized silhouettes, and flowing designs. He has turned heads in pastel colors and elegant fabrics, choices that are often considered unconventional for Korean male celebrities. However, he wears them so comfortably that they seem less like fashion statements and more like natural expressions of his personality. But isn't that what true style is? The ability to express yourself comfortably and authentically, even when it goes against the grain? Choi Woo-sik doesn't do or make bold statements to make a meaningful impact. His strength lies in his quiet authenticity, his natural comfort in expressing himself freely through acting and fashion. Just by being true to himself, he is quietly reshaping the image and emotions of a male lead today in Korean cinema today, inspiring both audiences and his peers. But let's pause here for a moment. What about you? Have you ever found yourself inspired by his signature style and quiet charm? Do you think he's subtly influencing perceptions of sensitivity in male roles in today's entertainment landscape? Or maybe you're just fascinated by his performances. And that's great too. Whatever your views, feel free to join the conversation. Because beyond storytelling, this space is all about building an open, engaging, and meaningful dialogue together. So don't hesitate. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'll be here, looking forward to hearing from you. Have you ever met someone whose presence changes the entire energy of a room, not by force, but by quiet confidence? That's Lee Do-hyun. He doesn't need grand statements or flashy gestures to make an impression. One look, one subtle movement, and you're hooked. It's not just star power. It's something deeper, something that lingers. In an industry built on image, Lee Do-hyun challenges the notion of what it means to be a leading man. His fashion choices alone speak volumes. For his shoot for Gentleman's Quarterly Korea, Lee is dressed in soft fabrics, soft color palettes, and prints usually reserved for high fashion editorials. It's elegant, purposeful, and most importantly, free. Each look tells a quiet story of rebellion against outdated expectations. Do you look at those images and wonder, like many others, if he's conveying a deeper message? But Lee isn't just a fashion icon, he's a transformative actor. His performances have slowly, quietly, reimagining the emotional range of male characters for the new generation of K-drama viewers. In the hit 18 Again, he plays a father rediscovering his youth, bringing a tender image of vulnerability, regret, and resilience. He's not afraid to cry, he's not afraid to soften, and he's not afraid to love, even when it hurts. In The Glory, he brought subtle, emotional intelligence to a complex role, often using silence and stillness more powerfully than dialogue. What sets Lee apart is his ability to express strength through vulnerability, playing characters who are flawed, compassionate, confused, and courageous. He doesn't rely on traditional masculine stereotypes. Instead, he shows that true masculinity can be graceful, emotionally intelligent, and quietly strong. Have you ever watched a scene of his and felt like you were being perceived in an unexpected way? Offstage, Lee Do-hyun continues to defy expectations with his warmth and sincerity. He is known for his shy smile, quick wit, and surprising sense of humor. Fans love him not only for his talent, but also for his approachability and honesty in interviews and behind-the-scenes clips. He communicates openly with fans, sometimes revealing a surprising degree of vulnerability, such as sharing his struggles with self-doubt or talking about the pressure to always appear strong. That sincerity, coupled with his creative choices, has made him a subtle but powerful voice in men dating, contributing to a clear portrayal of strength and weakness on screen. He's not calling for change, he's living it through every performance, every photo shoot, every gentle smile. And perhaps that's what it's all about: quiet, profound, and undeniably powerful. So here's a question for you. Do you think Lee Do-hyun is redefining the modern man on screen? We'd love to hear from you. To be honest, when 2521 debuted, not many people expected this quiet boy in a school uniform to become the face of Generation Z's stylish look. But Choi Hyun-wook didn't come out of nowhere. He walked in, looking confident and poised, as if he knew he belonged in the spotlight. His acting? Rough, honest, and heartbreakingly good. But it wasn't just the tears or the powerful roles that surprised people. It was the way he played the contrast. One moment, he was a heartbroken rebel. The next, he was walking into a magazine shoot, wearing sheer fabrics, bold lipstick, and necklaces that looked like they belonged in a Gucci museum. And somehow, he never felt like he was trying. He was just existing. Have you ever seen someone walk into a room and everything suddenly changes, like the energy just washes over them? That's Choi Hyun-wook. Not because he's for attention, but because he's bringing a fresh look at confidence in today's media without raising your voice. Did you feel that when you first saw him on screen? Or was it just one of his fashion photos that made you stop scrolling? Honestly, what was your first Choi Hyun-wook moment? Now let's talk about fashion. Because if acting is where Choi Hyun-wook breaks hearts, then fashion is where he breaks all the rules. Whether it's a soft sweater with earrings or an oversized layered jacket that looks like he stepped off the Milan runway, his style is more evident than any interview. Case in point, this photo shoot for Dazed Korea. He wore lace sleeves, a velvet choker, and that signature sleepy look, and the internet stopped. Not everyone got it, but that was the point. He wasn't dressing to impress anyone. He was performing, quietly, confidently, and without fear. And what made it even more compelling, he never explained. No bold statements explaining his fashion choices, just a photo, a look, a moment. And suddenly, young fans began questioning everything they thought they knew about how a leading man should dress or even feel. So let me ask you, do you think fashion can be a form of silent protest? Or is it simply about looking good while feeling free? We'd love to hear your take on his bold look. The thing is, Choi In-wook isn't just an actor on the rise. He's an icon, not in a loud, neon-lit way, but in a whispery, haunting way. Through his roles like the emotionally layered Sunjae in Weak Hero Class 1, he shows us the kind of male character we rarely see. Vulnerable, intense, emotionally open, and yes, stylish. And through his off-screen appearances, he reminds us that softness and strength are not opposites. They grow together. At just 23 years old, Choi In-wook is already pushing the conversation in Korean entertainment in a new direction. No statements, no slogans, just presence, just style, just truth. So we'll leave it to you. What do you think makes someone truly memorable in today's entertainment world? Is it talent, style, courage, or something else entirely? Leave your thoughts in the comments, because we're not just fans here, we're part of the conversation. Honestly, when Lee Jun-young first stepped onto the K-pop scene, no one expected this. He could have easily gone the safe, polished route like everyone else, but he didn't. From the start, there was something a little different about him. A spark, a tilt of the head, a refusal to be contained. Having emerged from his days as a member of U-KISS, Jun-young quickly broke free from the conventional idol label. He started acting, and not just playing it safe. Whether he was taking on dark, emotionally complex roles in dramas like Imitation, or explore beyond conventional expectations of male representation in entertainment through stylized high-fashion editorials, Jun-young became someone you couldn't have predicted. Do you remember the first time you saw a male celebrity wearing a sheer blouse, painted nails, and staring into the camera like he owned the universe? For many fans, that moment was brought by Lee Jun-young. So let's ask this. When did you start seeing style as more than just clothes? When did it start becoming a statement, a rebellion, or perhaps a silent truth? A quick glance at Jun-young's social media will tell you, this man doesn't follow trends. He is them. Whether he's wearing lace or as casually as other guys are wearing sneakers, his style questions fashion conventions with quiet confidence. Think back to his magazine shoots for Harper's Bazaar and Arena Home Plus, where he effortlessly mixed masculine lines with soft, flowing silhouettes. He's shown off dresses, mesh tops, and soft pastels, all with a fierce confidence that makes you stop and wonder, is this just fashion, or is there something deeper? And maybe that's Lee Jun-young's strength. He never explains himself. He lets his images speak for themselves. And here's a fun thought. If you had to pick one outfit from Jun-young's wild wardrobe to wear for a day, what would it be? The pink feathered coat? The floral embroidered suit? Or the infamous lace-on leather outfit that almost took Instagram by storm? Go ahead, pick your warrior. However, it is in his acting that Jun-young truly lets his complexity shine. His characters often sit at the intersection of strength and weakness, boldness and silence. And while he has never made an overt statement about identity, his artistic choices speak volumes. In DP and Love Unleashes, his acting is a fluid emotional nuance that touches the hearts of audiences yearning for deeper expression. He does it for attention, he whispers to those who listen. And somehow his whispers resonate all the more. So now it's your turn. What does Lee Jun-young represent to you? A daring artist? A fashion rebel? A new kind of male lead? Or are you simply someone who is quietly rewriting the script on what it means to exist, create, and be seen in a world still grappling with stereotypes? Whatever your answer, share it below. We're always here to chat. And just between us, would you dare wear that pearl necklace he wore last spring? Be honest. When Lee Jae-wook first appeared on screen in Memories of the Alhambra, he was a supporting character. No big show, no dramatic soundtrack, just a young man with sharp features and an intimidating calm. But there was something about him that made people pay attention. Maybe it was the way he moved, precise but not forced. Maybe it was the way he looked at his co-stars, not with the usual masculine toughness, but with a tenderness that made you wonder what story he was hiding. His breakthrough moment came soon after in Extraordinary You, where he played Baek-kyung, a character built to be cool, but revealed an unexpected emotional pain hidden deep inside. And the audience noticed. His fan base grew not through scandals or over-the-top displays, but through word of mouth. Have you seen that guy? The one who barely says a word but somehow says it all? So, be honest with us. What was Lee Jae-wook's first role that made you pause the screen just to see him? While most rising stars stick to the black suit formula, Lee Jae-wook has quietly rewritten his own fashion rules, and perhaps the industry's. Remember his 2023 Marie Claire Korea cover shoot? Dressed in silk and brocade, with a gaze that balanced fire and ice, he looked like a 21st century prince straight out of a dreamland. Or his AMI Paris look at Seoul Fashion Week, asymmetrical cuts and a sharp black jacket that blurred the line between masculine and theatrical. Unforced, just elegant, just comfortable. Lee's fashion isn't provocative, it's precise. He dresses as if he's in character, fully, honestly, and effortlessly. And in doing so, he challenges the image of the leading man. So the question is, do you think his style opens new doors for young male stars in Korea, or is the industry still catching up to a subtle evolution in images? In Alchemy of Souls, Lee Jae-wook plays Jong-uk, a character with layers of pain, longing, and restrained rage. But his signature isn't in his spells or swordplay. It's in the way he conveys his pain, through silence. In Dudu Sol Sol La La Sol, his character once again turns to emotional subtlety. He doesn't need flashy gestures or declarations to express his love. A look, a pause, a tear, that's enough. And perhaps that's what makes him stand out in today's entertainment world. His strength as an actor comes not from dominance, but from vulnerability. He reminding us that emotion and quiet presence are just as powerful as boldness, and beauty in roles that explore complexity rather than cliché. Now ask yourself, do we need more characters like this in dramas? And more importantly, are audiences ready for male leads who are more emotional? Tell us what you think. Which Lee Jae-wook role, look, or interview has changed the way you define a male lead? This isn't just storytelling, it's a conversation. And everyone's voice matters here, so join us. Kim Jong-hyun has never wanted to be the center of attention, but somehow, he always has been. Maybe it's the way he can slip into a scene without needing attention and still be the center of the moment. Long before millions knew his name, Kim quietly studied drama in college, obsessing over character development, facial expressions, physical tension. His classmates remember him not as the loudest person, but as the one who made silence loud. That same energy carried over into his early roles. School 2017, Welcome to Waikiki, where he mastered the art of emotional restraint. His characters never exaggerated. They breathed, they hesitated, they felt real. And just like that, a new kind of leading man was born. Not cold, but quietly complex. Have you ever met someone who said little but made you feel everything? That's Kim Jong-hyun. You don't have to break the rules. Sometimes, all it takes is a soft silk blouse and a knowing look. Kim Jong-hyun's fashion sense, the soft lines, the neutral colors, has attracted more attention than he ever showed in interviews. In 2021, he was seen wearing a white pleated blouse with delicate details that left reporters and stylists in awe. Was it political? Not at all. It was simply genuine. He wore it like his skin. Combined with subtle eye makeup and messy, unstyled hair, he didn't look like a rebel. He looked like someone who refused to perform. It wasn't a costume. It was a wordless statement. Do you think fashion can tell truths that words can't? And it wasn't just his clothes. In Mr. Queen, he played a king caught between tradition and chaos. But what audiences remember most is the tenderness he brought to the role. His performance balanced humor with emotional vulnerability, decades ahead of its time. His interactions with his co-stars broke convention. Playful, lighthearted, sometimes sexy, but never sensationalized. Critics called it progressive. Fans called it refreshing. We called it brave. When was the last time a K-drama king made you laugh and question gender roles at the same time? But Kim Jong-hyun's influence goes far beyond his roles or his red carpet looks. What really makes him so impactful, especially for younger audiences, is the way he keeps room for ambiguity. In a world addicted to labels, he offers us something rare: freedom. He never explains himself. He doesn't define his fashion style, his acting choices, or even his silences. And in doing so, he allows others to be themselves. Teens and young adults across Asia have shared that his presence has helped them embrace the softer sides of themselves, the sides that don't quite fit the mold. After leaving the entertainment industry due to serious health issues and public pressure, many thought his career had peaked. But Jung-hyun came back deeper. His performances since then have felt intimate, more emotionally honest, like someone who has walked through fire and decided to use the smoke as perfume. Have you ever had to disappear only to come back stronger? What did that moment teach you? Because in the end, Kim Jong-hyun reminds us that strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's in silence, in gentleness, in choosing not to follow the rules and never regretting it. Let's start with a face you recognize and maybe even secretly admire. Park Solomon, better known by his stage name Loman, isn't the type to chase attention with dramatic style or loud statements. He's entered the entertainment world with a calm confidence, a thoughtful gaze, and a quiet resistance to being pigeonholed into any one image. His breakout role in All of Us Are Dead introduced him to a global audience, not just as a rising star, but as a phenomenon. While many were drawn in by the thrill of the plot, those who looked closer saw something else. There's a natural elegance to the way Loman expresses emotion, subtle, heartfelt, and never over the top. Did you notice that? Or were you so focused on the noise around him that you missed the stillness within? Off-screen, Loman's public appearances began to draw attention, not for scandal, but for style. While many rising Korean actors favor tailored suits and monochrome safety nets, Loman incorporates cropped blazers, mesh tops, and other looks typically reserved for magazine shoots or trendy pop idols. Check out his first Look Korea shoot. He wears an intricately embroidered silk blouse and smoky eye, posing with a daring grace that keeps you scrolling. Is it just fashion? Or is it a quiet statement of self-expression? Tell us, how do you interpret his evolving look? He doesn't try to be a macho hero or a delicate flower. He simply exists somewhere in between, letting the moment guide him. Does his power lie in his refusal to define it? Have you ever felt pressured to appear stronger or cooler than you really are, just to be accepted? Loman's performance quietly dissolves that pressure. He shows us that complexity is not only normal, but also attractive. In an age where social media often promotes loud opinions and rigid labels, Loman's simple presence is a breath of fresh air. He doesn't for attention. Instead, he arouses curiosity. And that has quietly made him a role model, not just for those who identify with his style, but for anyone who is trying to find themselves without having to fit into someone else's mold. Whether through his fluid fashion sense or his multi-layered acting, Loman is quietly showing what a modern male lead can embody: grace, presence, and depth. Not just in Korea, but globally. Do you think style can be a quiet but powerful way of self-expression? Have you ever admired someone who challenges the norm, not with loudness, but with elegance? And more importantly, do you believe that young actors like Loman are opening the door to a more relaxed, free-spirited image of masculinity? Leave your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear your perspective, not just on fashion or fame, but on freedom. Because here, we're not just telling stories. We're building a space where expression is valued. And maybe, just maybe, someone out there watching Loman strut around in earrings will finally think, hey, maybe I can wear what I want too. From the moment Lee Min-ho appeared on Boys Over Flowers, he became more than an actor. He became a cultural icon. The curly hair, the aloof charm, the long coats that billowed behind him as he walked down the school hallways like an exiled prince. It was unforgettable. But it was also divisive. Some called him a genius. Others said he was too handsome, too gentle, even too formal to be a man. And just like that, Lee Min-ho became the poster boy for a new kind of masculinity in Korean drama. A masculinity that wasn't flashy, but still had a powerful impact that you could feel across Asia. He played characters who were rich, cool, handsome, but there were always cracks inside. And in those cracks, something new crept in. Emotion, restraint, a quiet challenge to every cliched masculine stereotype. And the controversy? He never backs down. He keeps showing up, more polished, more expressive, more himself. But why? Why do we feel uncomfortable when beauty and tenderness are present in such a powerful masculine figure? Have you ever admired someone but hesitated to admit it because they were too different, too graceful, or didn't fit the mold? Lee Min-ho's red carpet looks aren't random, they're statements. Sharp monochromes, dramatic silhouettes, silk, velvet, florals. There's a soft elegance to the way he combines classic silhouettes with soft, unexpected details, like that cloud suit. In an industry that often values roughness, he dares to embrace romance. Unpretentious, simply elegant. And ironically, that's controversial. Some critics say he plays it safe, but look closer. His choices whisper louder than most. When he wore a lavender jacket over a minimalist black turtleneck in a major brand campaign, fans around the world created a hashtag comparing him to both royalty and runway models. It's not just fashion, it's framing. He's telling us his style transcends trends. Expression can be elegant, individual, and powerful. Expression knows no boundaries. And sometimes a man in soft pastels can make a dozen powerful statements about equality. Now tell me this. When you see a male celebrity dressed smartly and elegantly, do you think it's brave or calculating? And either way, why are we still arguing about it in 2025? The most powerful thing Lee Min-ho has ever done is probably not a role, a photo shoot, or a fashion statement. It's that he has never apologized for who he is. He's faced years of rumors, criticism, and doubt about his style, about his gentleness, even about his silence. But through it all, he stood still. He didn't explain. And today, a new generation of artists, both male and female, look to him as an inspiration. Not because he told them who to be, but because he showed them that they can be all things, handsome, gentle, strong, emotional, without having to settle for just one. And one last question before we wrap up video. Are the most controversial people simply the ones brave enough to exist without permission? Think about it. And if anyone has ever made you feel seen for who they really are, please share it with us below. Because this isn't just Lee Min-ho's story. It's your story too. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, like, and check out more great stories right here on our channel. We love hearing from you, so leave a comment, share your thoughts, and let's keep the conversation going. See you in the next video. Is this just eye-catching fashion, or is Thailand quietly rewriting what it means to be a man in pop culture? From lace shirts to mafia romance, these 10 stars aren't just dressing different. They're shifting how Asia sees masculinity, emotion, and queer-coded power. Each look, each role, each quiet act of beauty, it's not rebellion, it's evolution. And by the end of this video, you'll see why Thailand is leading it. When Together, the series debuted in 2020, it not only ushered in a new wave of Thai BL dramas, it also quietly reshaped the culture. And amid that change, Win Medawin plays Tyne, a charming, reluctant fake boyfriend who finally discovers his true feelings. On paper, it's a lighthearted college-themed romantic comedy, but on screen, Win delivers on multiple layers. His role isn't bombastic or designed to be viral. Instead, it comes alive in the small moments. The forced laughs, the tender glances, the vulnerability masked by witty sarcasm. And through it all, something unexpected happened. Win turned the pretend to date a guy into one of the most touching moments Thai television has ever seen. But that was just the beginning. Continuing on F4 Thailand, Win plays Kavan, a guy who breaks hearts with designer sunglasses. This is not your typical role of a lovesick guy. Kavan is suave, stylish, but also emotionally vulnerable when necessary. Win plays the role with surprising sensitivity. One episode, he's a flirt in a velvet jacket. The next, he's talking about heartbreak that's too real to be fiction. And let's be real, Kavan's wardrobe, the pinnacle of gay high society. There's something revolutionary about watching a male lead wear pearl earrings and a floral jacket without flinching. Win doesn't ask for permission, he creates space. Over the years, his roles have matured, and so has his message. Win isn't rebellious, he doesn't preach, but with every role, every look, there's a quiet statement being made. You don't have to be loud to be brave, and you don't have to be conventional to be lovable. Whether he's playing a romantic lead or posing in chiffon on a magazine cover, Win offers an alternative to outdated notions of masculinity. He's not afraid of tenderness. He doesn't show strength through aggression. He shows it through vulnerability and the courage to wear pink silk without mocking it. And don't forget his everyday style. Win's red carpet presence feels more like curated art than celebrity fashion. At one point, he wore an oversized powder blue suit with pearls dripping down his neck. Other times, he wears a clean, neutral look that wouldn't look out of place in Paris or Seoul. But the thing is, he wears it all with that same calm energy. No wink, no gimmick. Just confidence. And confidence, when combined with authenticity, is infectious. For a generation still figuring out what it means to be masculine, feminine, or simply themselves, Win Medawin has become a rare phenomenon. A leading man who doesn't have to be tough to be strong. He's proof that genderlessness, elegance, and emotional expression aren't contradictions, they're possibilities. Because possibilities are, Win isn't just playing a role. He's giving a generation permission to live it. Before BL became the mainstream industry it is today, before scripts were written to satisfy international film buffs, there was Max Natapal, who walked into the frame as if he had nothing to prove and much to define. He wasn't a surfer, he was making waves. When he played Korn in Together With Me, he wasn't just playing a role, he was entering uncharted territory. A masculine lead with emotional depth, romantic sensitivity, and the kind of chemistry with Tulpakorn that made every other couple that year look like they were rehearsing. Max took what could have been a flashy fan service role and turned it into something quietly groundbreaking. His role didn't shy away from intimacy. He respected it. He doesn't flaunt his homosexuality. He conveys it deeply, tenderly, and authentically. The result? Korn isn't just your average romantic lead. He's a rare example of how love can be told in such a simple, down-to-earth way on Thai screens. In real life, Max's style tells the same story, with a little more sparkle. He's the kind of guy who can pull off a black turtleneck look like avant-garde and then casually show up in a see-through crimson shirt like it's just a regular Tuesday. His fashion is always pushing the envelope, not in an I'm trying too hard way, but in a this is who I am and it's awesome way. From tailored silhouettes that challenge gender norms to fabrics as soft and flowing as his on-screen presence, Max walks the fine line between classic masculinity and modern expression and somehow makes it look effortless. But it's not just what he wears, it's how he wears it. With the air of someone who understands that identity isn't static and image isn't a cage. Whether he's sitting front row at a fashion show or staring deep into the eyes of a co-star, Max moves like a man completely comfortable with ambiguity. And that ambiguity has become his superpower. He's never had to declare himself part of any movement. because every look, every role, and every calculated silence speaks volumes. In a landscape where queer roles are often seen as stepping stones or supporting roles, Max has played them as the leads in important love stories. His impact doesn't come from shouting, it comes from performing. And if his wardrobe consisted of nothing more than sheer jackets and scarves, all the better. From his emotional intensity on screen to his bold elegance off-screen, Max Natapal doesn't just normalize queerness, he makes it cool. Speaking of cool, let's talk about a new generation of fans. Mix Sahafap Wongrach. A different style, a different energy, but equally memorable. Have you ever met someone whose energy is simply nice? That's Mix Sahafap. He can melt you with just a half smile, then have you questioning the entire definition of masculinity by the end of each episode. Don't let his soft voice fool you. This man has been quietly leading a queer-coded fashion and performance revolution without saying a word. His breakthrough came with A Tale of a Thousand Stars, in which he played Tion, a privileged young man who finds redemption, love, and himself in the most unexpected place, a rural village, in the arms of a quiet forest ranger. The chemistry is exquisite, and the emotions, not a bit shy. And suddenly, this BL drama isn't just a romance, it's an awakening. Not just for the characters, but for the audience who, for the first time, were witnessing a love story between two men that wasn't based on show or stereotype, but on tenderness. Real tenderness. Mix didn't play Tion as a fictional character. He played him as a human being, flawed, scared, curious, and full of emotion. And in doing so, he created a new kind of male lead in Thai drama. One who can cry, who can hurt, who can love, and still carry a quiet strength. That in itself was a step forward. Gay, yes, but based on something real. Something that made the audience feel safe. Now step outside the studio and into Mix's wardrobe, and you'll see a completely different kind of storytelling. Oversized pastel sweaters, ruffled cuffs paired with masculine trousers, cardigans layered like high-fashion armor. Mix dresses like something out of a romance novel, with a touch of Gen Z chaos. But it works, because his fashion isn't about fierce rebellion, it's about softness as a badge of honor. He doesn't have to prove anything, he just shows up, slick, thoughtful, impeccably styled, and suddenly the rules are obsolete. It's not about changing genders to shock. It's about saying, I look great in this, and it doesn't need a label. That confidence? That's his most powerfully queer energy. Not loud, not forced, but genuine. Mix represents the kind of masculinity that makes room for everyone. And in today's industry, that's rare. But don't mistake his softness for passivity. Mix is intentional. He chooses roles and styles that convey a message, even when he doesn't. He knows his audience, and he knows the weight of presence. And he does it gracefully, one pleated shirt at a time. From his emotional story to his romantic yet realistic wardrobe, Mix Sahafap is the quiet storm you've never seen before, but will never forget. And now, let's switch gears, but keep it subtle. Let's talk about someone whose on-screen presence is as sharp as his cheekbones. Bible Wichapa Sumetikul. If Max is a pioneer and Mix is a poet, then Bible Wichapas, he's the problem. The kind of problem who shows up in black leather, makes eye contact for 0.5 seconds, and suddenly your standards for fictional men are shattered forever. But Bible isn't just a BL heartthrob, he's something much rarer, a living contradiction. Elegant yet sharp, soft yet fierce, traditional face, progressive demeanor, and oh yes, fashion so powerful, it could stop time if it wanted to. Bible made a huge splash in the public eye as Kin in Kin Porsche, the series. On paper, he's the heir to a mafia empire. On screen, he's a queer-coded elegant guy with a penchant for bodyguards and eyes that could melt marble. This isn't your typical BL romance. It's adventurous, high-fashion, and unabashedly sexy. And Bible doesn't flinch for a second. He's the embodiment of strength without being toxic, weakness without being vulnerable. The chemistry with Apo Natawin. Let's just say, everyone's still recovering. But what makes Bible's performance so groundbreaking isn't genre, it's nuance. He doesn't rely on stereotypes. He builds something cooler, quieter, deeper. His Kin is a man struggling, with responsibility, with his desires, with a world that demands a unique version of masculinity. And Bible pulls it off so uncannily that you can't look away. Somehow, the most dangerous man in the room becomes the most emotionally exposed. That's not acting, that's transformation. And don't even get us started on Bible's fashion sense. The man can show up in a black suit, shiny boots, and a silver ring and still look like he invented minimalism. And the next day, a cropped jacket with flared pants and earrings that whisper queer excellence without saying a word. His style isn't rebellious, it's confident. Every look is curated. Every photo, it's intentional. He doesn't dress for fashion, he tells a story. What's quietly revolutionary about Bible is that he never flaunts his queerness, he celebrates it. In person, on the red carpet, in editorials, he shows queer young people that you don't have to choose between tough and soft, individuality and elegance. You can wear both. At the same time, if you want, wear heels. Bible represents a new chapter in queer presence, where power no longer demands dominance and presence no longer demands loudness. He brings grace to intensity, fashion to emotion, and in doing so, he has quietly become a style icon for a generation seeking boldness without being aggressive. And just when you think you know him well, the next surprise comes. Which brings us to someone equally unexpected, but in a completely different style. Build Jakapan Puta. Let's talk about charm, gentleness, and the quiet revolution of pastel suits. Build Jakapan isn't flashy or dramatic, no. He walks in quietly, dressed in a muted earth tone or all-white suit, looks around with a calm, commanding presence, and somehow takes over the room. That's his power. Subtle but undeniable. And for fans of queer-coded elegance, Build is quietly redefining what it means to be bold. Let's revisit his unforgettable role in Kinporsche, the series, where he plays Pete, a tough guy bodyguard with a slow, beautiful, and painful heartbreak. Pete isn't the loudest or flashiest, but he's the most human. His journey, from loyal protector to man caught in a battle between love and self-discovery, is more powerful than most people expect. And Build pulls it off with grace, making the whole thing feel real, intimate, and queer in the best way. It's not about labels, it's about desire. About navigating emotions that don't fit neatly into neat boxes. About intimacy that's both tender and terrifying. The chemistry between Pete and Vegas, played by Bible, isn't just good, it's transformative. They've sparked not just a fan base, but a conversation about complicated love, toxic healing, and finding tenderness after trauma. In Build's hands, Pete becomes more than a character. He becomes a symbol of the quiet resilience of the LGBTQ+ community. Now step into Build's closet and prepare to be surprised. The man's style is enigmatic. At first glance, it's all cozy sweaters and comfortable tailored suits. But then boom, a pair of pearl earrings. Or a cropped jacket paired with leather pants. He knows how to balance masculine minimalism with just enough sophistication to make you wonder, did he just break the binary with that outfit? And the answer is yes, he did. Build doesn't follow trends. He curates identity. His style choices are personal, never performative. Whether in casual streetwear shoots or high-end magazine shoots, he exudes a soft, warm, welcoming presence, not awe. And in a space where fashion is often seen as a voice of shouting, Build's fashion listens to culture, emotion, and evolution. What sets Build apart quietly is that he doesn't pretend to be an icon. He just shows up, authentically, and somehow that's enough. He gives queer fans something rare. Representation without acting. Style without stereotypes. Emotion without excuses. And isn't that what authentic presence is all about? From the screen to the sidewalk, Build's presence is a gentle reminder that queer energy doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. If you enjoy these stories and want to see more content celebrating queer representation in Thai entertainment, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support keeps this conversation going, and that means a lot to us. Situinen has a look that is unpretentious but invites attention. He doesn't storm in. He glides through a field of lavender, wearing a pastel suit, a half-tucked shirt, and just enough lip gloss to make you wonder, Is this guy a K-drama prince, a fashion poet, or a queer dreamer with great hair? C first made a splash in My Only 12%, a BL coming-of-age drama that doesn't rely on dramatic plot twists or scandalous tropes. Instead, it's a gentle, heartfelt exploration of friendship turning into love. And C's CU feels so genuine that it's hard to tell what's acting and what's real. His emotional vulnerability on screen isn't showy. It's relatable. And it's that vulnerability that makes queer audiences feel seen, respected, and, frankly, romanced again. What sets C apart isn't just his chemistry with co-star Santa Pongsapak. It's how natural he makes it all seem. The hand-holding, the soft gaze, the long pauses between lines. He doesn't act like he's playing a gay love interest. He acts like he's in love, period. No hesitation, no pretension, just sincerity. And in real life, C's wardrobe is a Pinterest board of queer-coded comfort. The cardigans look like they were hand-knitted by a cottagecore fairy. The loafers say, "I read poetry honestly." The fabrics are soft, the silhouettes are relaxed, and the color palette encompasses every shade of serenity. He's mastered the art of blending masculinity with sophistication. And somehow, it never feels forced. It feels inviting, as if the world he's created with his images is one you could comfortably live in too. C doesn't wear fashion as armor. He wears it as an expression. One day he's wearing pleated high-waisted pants. The next, he's wearing a soft turtleneck under a pearl-buttoned blazer. Nothing stands out, but everything screams, "I know who I am, and I'm not afraid to dress like it." That quiet confidence, it's contagious. But more importantly, C represents something incredibly valuable to the queer community: gentleness. Not all queer imagery has to be bold and daring. Sometimes, quiet people break barriers. C's gentleness is not a weakness, it's a style, a statement, and a source of strength for fans who have long needed someone like him on screen. In a world that often values loudness, C Tawinan proves that gentleness can be revolutionary. And if you've enjoyed the journey so far, there's more to come. Add some charm and enter the world of Force Jirachapong Srisang, the man who makes even monochrome look sexy. Force Jirachapong walks like he owns the room, but he's very polished. He has that well-bred but still fashionable rebel vibe, like someone who says thank you while completely changing your definition of masculinity. He doesn't need to be flashy or shocking. His presence is clean, calm, and beautifully understated. Think minimalism with meaning. Think silk blouses with soul. Force made a strong impression in Enchante and A Boss and a Babe, where he often played a charming, seemingly cold character who turns out to be a softie when it comes to love. What makes these performances so impressive isn't just his chemistry with Book Casadet. It's how Force taps into the subtle nuances. His characters don't shy away from intimacy or emotion. They just unfold it slowly, like a perfectly paced novel. And in doing so, Force gives queer audiences something that's often missing: emotional realism wrapped in romantic elegance. His acting isn't dramatic, it's not flamboyant, it's not forced. It's just a slow build of trust, warmth, and eye contact, held for just one more second, and it says it all. Force isn't playing queer-coded characters for fantasy. He's acting like real people, fleshing out real emotions, and that's the point. He's making space for audiences who live in quiet uncertainty, yearning for tenderness, but afraid of how others will perceive it. And then, there's his fashion. If clean lines and careful detail were a love language, say, then Force would have mastered it. He's the kind of guy who can make a white t-shirt and slacks look like a Paris Fashion Week statement, but he's also not afraid to experiment. You'll find him in high-necked lace, monochrome silks, or tailored blazers that are just soft enough to make an impression, in a good way. His looks whisper rather than shout, but the message is clear. Beauty has no gender. Force's fashion isn't about androgyny for the sake of attention. It's about balance. He brings softness to structure, poetry to refinement. His style often screams romance, flowy silhouettes, pastels, and the occasional museum-worthy brooch. And throughout, he remains calm, composed, and quietly daring. What makes Force so meaningful to the queer community is how comfortable he is with the opposite. Strong yet gentle, quiet yet emotional, classic yet progressive. He shows that queer-coded doesn't have to be flashy or loud. It can also be elegant, calm, and a quiet confidence that grows on you like a favorite song. So tell me this, has Force ever made you wonder why a man in pastel lace can feel more powerful than a CEO in a three-piece suit? Because it's the same. Exactly the same. Nanan Koraput is the kind of actor who can smile politely, hold your gaze for half a second, and somehow make you rethink your entire life plan. He doesn't have to wear anything over the top to get attention, although he certainly does, but there's something about his energy that signals a quiet rebellion. He's not trying to make a statement, he is that statement. Long before people started analyzing red carpet looks as queer-coded energy, Nanan was embodying flexible masculinity on screen. His role in Bad Buddy wasn't just groundbreaking, it was culture-shifting. He played Pat, a character who exuded confidence, loyalty, and, let's be honest, a little bit of chaos. But what makes the romance between Pat and Prawn stand out is how Nanan portrays masculinity with its complex emotional range. His Pat can be goofy, aggressive, vulnerable, and romantic, all in the same scene, and somehow it never feels contradictory. It feels liberating. There's no caricature, there's no over-the-top drama. Just two guys in love, and Nanan makes it feel as natural as possible. And the best part? He doesn't just act as someone discovering strangeness, he adds nuance. Fear, joy, confusion, tenderness. Every beat counts. For many young viewers, especially in Asia, Pat is more than a character. He's representation, he's catharsis. And then there's his fashion. Oh, his fashion. Nanan dresses like a Pinterest board curated by a Gen Z poet who grew up on Wong Kar-wai films. You'll see him in oversized suits, wide-leg pants, sheer layers, and crop tops that say, "Yes, I have feelings," and a slim waist. He's not afraid of genderless fashion. In fact, he embraces it with a confidence that makes even skeptics stop and think, wait, that linen blouse, is that amazing? It's never forced, it's never performative. Nanan doesn't dress to impress, he dresses to express himself. And through it all, his style whispers something powerful. You can be tender without being vulnerable, vibrant without being mocked, and a little queer without a press release. He's proof that femininity and masculinity can coexist, not as opposites, but as partners in the dance. What Nanan brings to the queer community, especially the younger generation, is this: a new role model. No noise, no hype, no trying to prove a point. Just someone who lives authentically, lives fearlessly, and dressing gender-conforming is optional. Which, let's be honest, it is. And if you've ever seen him in high-waisted pants and soft curls and thought, I want to live in that energy for a day, you're definitely not alone. So let's be honest, when did Nanan's wardrobe start giving you protagonist syndrome? Because in our opinion, he's been living in that era since day one. PP Crit isn't just breaking the mold, he's turning it into a handbag, wearing it to Fashion Week, and smiling sweetly while doing it. Part pop star, part beloved fashion model, part on-screen sensation, Crit Amnoidechkorn isn't just expressing himself, he's building a whole new language for queer art in Thailand, one piece at a time. His rise to fame began with I Told Sunset About You, where he played Oeu, a guy caught between friendship, identity, and a love story that unfolds like poetry written in real time. PP doesn't play queer, he lives it. He gives voice to the silence. He makes you feel the silence between words, the unspoken tension between stares, the pain of not knowing where love ends and fear begins. For many queer audiences, Oe was more than a character. He is a memory, a reflection, a beautiful, vulnerable storm that creates space for those still searching for themselves. And then there's the music. PP Crit doesn't stop at drama. He puts his emotions into pop music and turns every note into a fashion moment. His music videos are visual feasts, fluid styling, soft boy vulnerability, explosive moments of glamour, and just enough drama to make your heart flutter. The fashion? It ranges from pearl-studded evening gowns to elaborate suits with plunging necklines. He's walked the red carpet in couture, graced magazine covers in sheer chiffon, and performed live in outfits that scream art without permission. Crit doesn't experiment with queer fashion. He owns it. His Instagram is a runway of rebellion, sometimes subtle, sometimes bold, always himself. And the best part, he does it all with a smile that says, yes, I know this see-through top is cool, and no, I'm not toning it down. For the queer community, especially in Asia, PP Crit is more than just a celebrity. He's a cultural change. He embodies what happens when someone refuses to hide their light and instead invites the world to see them. He offers hope to fans who are still hiding a part of themselves. He shows them that expressing yourself doesn't have to be loud to be revolutionary. It just has to be authentic. Whether he's singing on flashy stages or acting in emotional silence, PP Crit is living proof that you can be both soft and strong, feminine and fierce, sophisticated and cool, all at the same time. Now it's your turn. Of all the bold and brilliant Thai stars we've explored today, who inspires you the most? Who inspires you most with their style, presence, and quiet courage? Tell us, who's your favorite and why? We're all ears and appreciators. Tidal Kirati is the kind of actor who sneaks up on you in the best possible way. He doesn't walk into a room to grab attention. He walks in, slowly, delivering a performance full of raw emotion, and suddenly you realize you've just witnessed something quietly revolutionary. And the wild part? He makes it look effortless. In The Eclipse, Tidal plays Can, a character whose strangeness is not flashy or showy, but in every glance, every little expression, every moment of silence, it speaks louder than 1,000 words. His role isn't about fighting expectations. It's about existing in spite of them. Tidal breathes life into a boy who doesn't want to scream to be heard. He whispers, and you lean in. That's power. Where other actors might play it safe, Tidal plays softness like it's a superpower. He doesn't pose, he doesn't exaggerate, he feels. His performance is entirely internal, expressing complex, intelligent, and deeply emotional queer emotions. In an industry where subtlety is often overlooked, Tidal reminds us that not every revolution needs fireworks. Sometimes all it takes is a guy sitting quietly with his truth and refusing to shrink back. Then there's the fashion. Tidal's casual style is where things get interesting. He has that wardrobe chaos, but somehow everything works energy. One day, he's wearing soft neutrals and oversized button-downs. The next, he's wearing velvet pants, layered chainmail, and a shirt that completely ignores the concept of sleeves. What's his style? Boyfriend meets Bangkok art student, with enough queer flair to rock the LGBTQ+ timeline. Tidal isn't afraid of genderless style. He embraces it like an old friend. High-waisted pants, pastel sweaters, sheer jackets. He wears them not to provoke, but to express. His looks never scream, "Look at me." Instead, they whisper, "This is me." And that quiet confidence speaks volumes to queer fans on their journey to self-expression. What makes Tidal special to the community is his consistency. He doesn't just embrace queer looks or jump into BL roles just to advance his career. He shows up with grace, dedication, and an energy that tells viewers, it's okay to be soft. It's okay to not have it all figured out. You're still worthy. You're still beautiful. In a media world that often celebrates extremes, Tidal offers something groundbreaking. Permission to be tender, curious, and constantly evolving. For many queer fans, that's not just refreshing, it's healing. And perhaps that's the perfect way to close out this journey. 10 stars, 10 expressions of unfettered masculinity, 10 ways to say, this is me, and I'm not sorry. So which one resonated with you the most? Tell us who lit a fire under your skin, stole your heart, or made you feel a little more included. Because in the end, that's what this is all about. Representation that reflects who you are. Thank you for sticking with us through it all. If you're still here, you're not just watching a video. You're part of a conversation, a movement, a moment where queer expression, soft masculinity, and unabashed authenticity are finally being seen and celebrated. These 10 Thai stars didn't just challenge fashion rules or take on bold roles. They gave us space to feel, to question, to hope, and to dream in all their glory. Whether you came for the lace, the longing stares, or the quiet revolutions happening on screen and off, your staying means a lot, because every view, every comment, every shared moment helps amplify voices that are often left out. If this video made you feel inspired, comforted, or even just a little more seen, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and let's keep this energy going. And most importantly, don't be afraid to wear a see-through blouse. We're cheering you on. Until next time, be bold, be soft, be yourself. You think you know K-pop style? Watch 10 stars rewrite it in silence. One fit at a time. Don't skip. There's a moment at the end that might change how you see every male idol. After you finish, tell me, was it style or a statement? This video is intended to share feelings and analyze the artist's performance style, fashion, and artistic image, and is not intended to endorse or reveal any personal information. Can you believe it? Min Yoongi, the silent genius we know as Suga, can walk into a room without saying a word and still make you question everything you thought you knew about K-pop style. He's not the loudest in the group. He doesn't try to stand out. But when he chooses an outfit, it's like a carefully crafted poem, to be read, felt, and remembered. From his carefully tailored, painterly oversized coats to his love of soft fabrics, silk shirts, loose sweaters, and monochromatic palettes, Suga has created a style language all his own. Imagine him in Paris, representing Valentino. A soft ivory suit so perfectly tailored it looks like it was poured onto him, paired with delicate jewelry that catches the light with every movement. No fancy patterns, no flashy logos, just pure, calculated elegance. It's the kind of look that whispers more than shouts, but it still draws people closer. When you see Suga in a moment like this, are you just admiring a stylish man? Or are you quietly rewriting the rules of what a male idol should look like? For Suga, fashion isn't about decoration, it's about communication. Every choice is intentional, just like his lyrics. On stage, he switches between sharp-cut suits and soft, flowing lines, never tying himself to a single style. One night he's dressed in an all-black suit, every line sharp and commanding. The next, he performs in a loose-fitting pastel shirt that flows with each breath, giving him a soft, dreamy look. Think of Daehwi's music video, how modern streetwear blends with traditional hanbok elements. It's not a random stylist choice, it's a statement. A bridge between legacy and present, between power and vulnerability. Even off stage, his airport fashion speaks its own language. Oversized jackets, muted colors, prints you can almost feel through the screen. It's as if he dresses to say, I know who I am, and I don't need to explain it. So tell me, do you think this is just a talented man with good taste, or is it a quieter, deeper form of self-expression than trends? This is what makes Suga's style so unforgettable. He doesn't chase the moment, he shapes it. Luxury brands like Valentino and Dior don't just dress him, they trust him to bring their vision to life. And he does it, in his own way, always authentic, always understated, always leaving room for interpretation. He can walk into a room in the most casual of looks and still command attention without a word. It's not just fashion, it's presence. Fans around the world analyze every detail of his outfits online, looking for the exact sweater, the ring, the color of the fabric. They know that each element is part of a bigger picture, a story only he can tell. And maybe that's the magic. Suga doesn't give you all the answers. He leaves room for you to see what you want to see. Which makes me wonder, when you look at him, do you just see an idol? Or do you see an artist who uses fabric, texture, and color the same way he uses rhythm and rhyme to move you without a word? Close your eyes and picture this scene. The event hall is bustling. Photographers are lined up, flashbulbs are turned on, and black suits are draped on bodies. The atmosphere seems predictable until the door opens and Kim Hee-chul walks in. His hair, often longer than the actresses in the room, sways with each step. He wears a jacket in a color no stylist would have dared suggest a decade ago, maybe crimson velvet or silver glitter, and accessories that make you wonder if you're looking at a pop star or a runway model. He pauses for the camera, tilts his head, and smiles, as if to say, I know exactly what you're thinking. Since his early days in Super Junior, Heechul has been more than just another face in a boy band. He's been someone who refuses to disappear into uniformity. Every public appearance becomes its own little performance. Have you ever noticed how someone can walk into a room and suddenly make everyone else fade into obscurity? That's the effect Heechul has had for nearly 2 decades. For Heechul, fashion has never been about wearing what's expected. It's about telling a story without saying a word. Over the years, he's worn floral suits to primetime TV appearances, satin shirts to concert stages, oversized coats that look like they came straight off the Paris runway, and hairstyles that range from platinum blonde to shoulder-length jet black. And somehow, each choice feels like a natural extension of his personality. Bold, playful, and unabashed. He said in interviews that he simply wears what makes him happy, whether it's an expensive piece from an international designer or a unique piece from a boutique in Hongdae. But the thing is, because it's Heechul, people notice. Fans still talk about the time he wore a rhinestone-studded pastel pink suit on live TV, and the moment sparked a debate about why certain colors or accessories should be off-limits for men. Do you think the rules about what men can and can't wear should be followed? Or rewritten? Part of what makes Heechul so appealing is the way he combines bold style with humor. He can wear a coat that costs more than some people's cars, but on a show, he jokes that he bought it because it matches his cat's fur. At concerts, he can twirl his elegant coat mid-song, turning high fashion into a comedic prop while still exuding charm. And that's his genius. He makes fashion seem approachable rather than intimidating. This attitude has left a lasting mark on the fashion industry. In the early 2000s, male idols rarely experimented with silhouettes, fabrics, or colors beyond the safe palette. Now, young stars appear on music shows in sheer blouses, statement necklaces, and embroidered jackets without hesitation, and many say Heechul proved it was possible. Even today, he can post a casual selfie, pairing a designer jacket with a ready-to-wear outfit, and his fan base will spend hours analyzing every detail. But Heechul never considered his style a statement. He just lived it, consistently. And maybe that's why it's so powerful, because it's authentic. So I'll leave it at that. When someone can change the boundaries of an entire industry without ever claiming to be a pioneer, is that just a personal style, or is it quiet leadership in its purest form? Lee know he doesn't need a big stage performance or a big entrance. His presence alone is enough to draw eyes and hold them there. At New York Fashion Week 2024, sitting front row at Tommy Hilfiger's spring-summer show, he wore a perfectly tailored blazer over straight-leg trousers, accessorizing with a mix of classic masculinity and subtle softness. Cameras flashed, editors scribbled. Even in a sea of global celebrities, his looks command attention without being showy. Whether strutting through an airport or taking the stage with stray kids, Lee moves like someone who understands the power of first impressions and knows exactly how to make them memorable. When was the last time you saw such effortless yet powerful confidence? Lee's style isn't just about dressing, it's about capturing moments. Each appearance feels like a carefully crafted chapter in an ongoing visual story. In the Arena Home Plus shoot, masculine designs are paired with soft, unexpected light-catching fabrics, creating a juxtaposition of strength and vulnerability. In the October 2020 issue of Vogue Korea, he switches up his strong style with clean lines, muted tones, and a deep, captivating gaze. His 2022 cover of Beauty Plus shows a different side. A casual, natural elegance, proving that simplicity can be as dramatic as it is elegant. On stage, he plays with proportion and texture. Oversized jackets cinched at the waist, slim shirts accented with statement jewelry, yet still evokes a rebellious look. These aren't random choices. They're captured style moments that fashion media and fans alike have discussed, shared, and even recreated. Have you ever looked at an outfit and felt like it was revealing a secret? That's the style Lee brings to life. What sets Lee Know apart isn't just his ability to dress well, but how he makes people feel. Young fans see him blending the edgy and the soft, the bold and the casual, and realize that they're not limited to just one version of themselves. His appearances at global fashion events and in high-profile magazines have reinforced a powerful message. You can earn respect for your individuality. That combination of confidence and openness is captivating. It sparks conversations about style, self-expression, and the courage to stand out without explanation. And that's exactly what we want here. A space where you can share what you see when Lee Know steps into the frame. Is it just style, or is it a statement about embracing every aspect of who you are? Share your thoughts below, and let's create an open, fun, and respectful conversation. Because when fashion becomes art, it becomes more than just the person wearing it. It becomes about everyone watching, feeling, and maybe even daring to try something new for themselves. Can you believe there's a K-pop star whose presence can turn a simple stage into a Paris runway? That's Seonghwa. He doesn't just walk, he glides, with a calm confidence that makes you feel like every step has been practiced for centuries. Yet nothing about him feels staged. The lighting hits him differently, the camera seems to know exactly when to pause, and the audience can sense it. He's more than just an idol. This is someone who treats every public appearance as part of a living art form. Even when he's wearing a minimalist black suit, there's always a surprise. A silk scarf tied in a tight knot, a metal brooch that grabs attention, or a pair of gloves that instantly make you wonder why you never thought to wear them. What makes Seonghwa stand out isn't that he wears bold outfits, it's how he uses them to communicate without words. In a T's Inception stage outfit, he wore soft, flowing layers of fabric that moved with the beat, turning the choreography into a visual wave. In the reel, his look was more edgy. His intricately designed shoulders, slim waist, and mix of patterns made him look like he stepped out of a modern-day period drama. And then there are award shows, where he often opts for well-tailored outfits in soft, shiny fabrics that blur the line between formal wear and high fashion. The effect? You can't look away. His fans have collected countless clips showing how his style fits the mood of the song. Sometimes soft and romantic, other times edgy and majestic. Nothing is random, but he never had to stand in front of a microphone and say, "This is why I dress this way." The art speaks for itself. So tell me, when you see an artist like this, do you start to notice a change in your own clothing choices? Seonghwa's influence on young people is subtle but powerful. He's not telling anyone to change themselves. He's showing what happens when you follow your own vision, even if it doesn't match everyone else's. For many fans, seeing him combine strength and elegance in the same style is a gentle reminder that it's okay to be complex, that you don't have to choose between boldness and sophistication. It's about standing out from the crowd and feeling completely yourself. His style sends a message. Confidence is the most attractive thing you can wear. And perhaps that's why so many people credit him with helping them step out of their comfort zones, whether it's trying a new color, a different style of clothing, or simply expressing themselves with a little more pride. If you had the chance to learn one thing from Seonghwa, would it be how to dress, how to perform, or how to command a room without saying a word? Let's turn the comments section into a space to share those thoughts, a place where style, music, and self-expression come together, and everyone is welcome to join the conversation. From the moment Baekhyun steps into the spotlight, it's clear you're watching an artist who knows who he is. His voice alone is enough to light up a stage, but it's his presence, the way he commands attention without words, that leaves a lasting impression. Whether it's a pastel suit that looks like it came straight from a Paris runway, a silk shirt that floats like water under the lights, or a coat that sparkles with hundreds of sequins, Baekhyun has built a reputation for combining elegance and daring. His style is never random. It's polished, refined, and often unexpected. Taking the conversation beyond, what's he wearing? to why does it suit him so well? On stage, his style is as much a performance as it is a visual story. And here's the thing. When an artist consistently dresses in ways that break all traditional boundaries, the stage becomes more than just a concert. It becomes a platform for change. Have you noticed that fans now look forward to not only his set list, but also his opening outfit? That's no coincidence. That's a real impact. Baekhyun's artistry is at its peak when music and fashion come together. Listen to UN Village and watch him perform live. The lighting bathes him in deep hues, his tailored suits flow gracefully, and his voice glides over the music. With Candy, the style is completely transformed. Bright colors, loose silhouettes, accessories that sparkle with youthful confidence. Each concept is more than just a change of outfit. It's a mood board brought to life. His performance choices are always rooted in precision. The way a jacket falls during a high note, the way a ring draws attention during a hand gesture, or the subtle change in hair color that reshapes the mood of a song. These are calculated artistic decisions, not spur-of-the-moment thoughts. And while some male idols still stick to a safe, masculine look, Baekhyun is willing to push boundaries, introducing fabrics, colors, and styles rarely worn by men in mainstream K-pop. The result? A stage presence that's modern, bold, and resonates globally. If you had a platform like this, would you play it safe or push boundaries like him? What makes Baekhyun's impact so profound is that he doesn't need to make big public statements to change the conversation. His images have now been splashed across international fashion media. His airport style has become a trend alongside global luxury advertising campaigns, and his concert photos have sparked thousands of discussions about style and identity. Young fans, especially those exploring self-expression, see him as a reminder that masculinity can be versatile, stylish, and completely self-defined. He is living proof that confidence isn't about fitting into a group, but about owning your own choices. And perhaps that's why his influence extends far beyond the EXO fan base. Stylists look to him as a reference, aspiring singers emulate his stage confidence, and designers openly praise his ability to elevate their creativity. The message is subtle but powerful. Your style can be your voice, even before you speak. Now think about it. How many of us have avoided wearing something we really love just because we're afraid of what others will say? Maybe it's time to take a leaf out of Baekhyun's book and just wear it. Some artists introduce themselves with loud neon lights and cheers, but AT's Yeosang often comes across differently. His power lies in a quietness that demands attention. You see it in the way he stands at the edge of the stage, his gaze steady, almost unreadable, but still drawing you in. In the quiet moments before the first beat, you feel every movement calculated, not to impress, but to express. Yeosang isn't here to fit into a mold. He's here to completely rewrite it. His performances are a marriage of precision and emotion, where the slightest look or shift in posture can say more than the lyrics. And then there's his style. Luxurious fabrics, layered textures, silhouettes that blur traditional lines. He understands the power of first impressions, but more importantly, he knows how to make them last. Have you ever met someone who can change the mood of a room without saying a word? That's Yeosang. For Yeosang, fashion isn't decoration, it's a dialect. One night, he can command the stage in a tailored suit, every seam delicate and carefully tailored, exuding elegance and control. The next, he's rocking a sophisticated sheer top paired with a leather belt detail, a combination that defies every old rule about what a man should wear. These aren't just sartorial choices, they're works of art in the making, captured in high definition on concert stages, preserved in glossy magazine pages, and replayed endlessly in fan edits. Each look feels like a visual thesis, that beauty, power, and self-expression have no gender. And it's not just shocking, there's depth here. His style blends with AT's music, which often blurs the lines between cinematic narrative and raw performance. When Yeosang steps into that space, fashion becomes a silent verse between the musical lines, leading you into a world without borders. Do you think it's this bold blend of art, image, and identity that has made so many young fans feel more courageous about expressing their own individuality? What makes Yeosang unforgettable isn't just his dancing precision or his rich visuals, it's the way he quietly redefines possibility. His presence tells young people, your difference isn't a weakness, it's your mark. Fans often share stories about how his confidence in wearing what he wants, moving with emotion, and performing without fear has helped them step into their own light. And it's not a loud rebellion, it's a more subtle, private one. It's the kind of sound that sinks into your head, reminding you that expressing yourself isn't about being the boldest person in the room, it's about being the most authentic. Imagine him performing. The jacket that shimmers like liquid under the lights, his hair loose and natural, the slight smile on his face as if he's revealing a secret. In that moment, Yeosang isn't just performing, he's telling a story for anyone who's ever felt constrained by expectations. If you could walk out onto the stage tomorrow without fear of judgment, what would you tell the world about yourself? Through your style, your art, your voice. Share your story, because in this space, every voice matters, and every truth deserves to be heard. If you've ever seen Jaehyun on stage with NCT, you'll know he's more than just a vocalist. He's a storyteller who uses music as his language. Born in 1997, Jaehyun debuted in 2016 with NCT U and quickly gained attention for his deep, resonant baritone voice. In songs like Without You, Back to You, and Kick and Ride, he delivers each line with intentional emotion, sometimes stretching out a word just long enough for the audience to really feel it. His live performances are consistently praised for their consistency and precision, as seen in NCT's Neo City concerts, where he combined powerful live vocals with perfectly aligned facial expressions, giving the impression that he was singing directly to each person in the crowd. Here's a proven trait that sets him apart. He doesn't perform just to run through the playlist. He performs to connect. Have you ever felt like a singer was telling your story without having to call out your name? Beyond music, Jaehyun is equally influential in the fashion world. As the global ambassador for Prada since 2022, a role that has been celebrated by Vogue and other international fashion magazines, he turns every public appearance into a personal style statement. It's not just about wearing designer clothes, it's about wearing them your way. From a crisp white velvet suit over a satin shirt at Paris Fashion Week, to his genderless looks with sheer tops, wide-leg pants, and low-top loafers, he's always focused on the details that stand out. At fan meetings and concerts, Jaehyun often adds accents like necklaces, simple earrings, or oversized pastel jackets, items that were once considered too soft for traditional male idols. All of these moments are captured in press photos and fan cams, proving his careful yet bold approach. Interestingly, Jaehyun has never verbally declared that he is breaking the norm, but his fashion choices naturally raise questions. Is style limited by gender, or is it limited only by the boundaries we choose to perceive it in? What makes Jaehyun such an influential figure to young audiences lies not only in his career achievements or physical appeal, but also in his work style. He maintains a polished image, respects his fans, and is bold in experimenting with creative expression. During fan meetings, he listens attentively, welcomes them warmly, and creates an environment where people feel safe to express themselves. Many young fans share that Jaehyun's balance of elegance, respect, and diverse styles has inspired them to take more risks in expressing themselves, whether through music, fashion, or other creative avenues. He is living proof that an artist can honor tradition while still evolving to keep up with the times without losing authenticity. If you were given the freedom to express yourself like Jaehyun, would you choose music, fashion, or something completely different to tell your story? Nakamoto Yuta, commonly known by his stage name Yuta, is a Japanese male singer currently active in South Korea. If you've ever stood in the crowd at an NCT 127 concert, you know that the atmosphere changes when Yuta Nakamoto walks out. The lights catch his hair, the audience cheers, and suddenly, your eyes can't look away. It's not just his voice, although his voice has the kind of warmth and clarity that can pierce through a stadium. It's the way he holds himself. There's a certain calmness to his steps, a precision to his movements, that makes the stage feel like an extension of his body. From the very first days after joining NCT 127 in 2016, Yuta showed that he wasn't just satisfied with hitting the right notes. He wanted to carve the song into the audience's memories. Every look, every step, every outfit was part of the performance. And perhaps that's what draws people in. The feeling that he's not just entertaining you, but inviting you into a world where art and individuality are inseparable. Yuta's artistry doesn't stop at his music. It also spills over directly into fashion, where he's one of the most talked about members of the group. This isn't speculation. It's been documented in magazine spreads, red carpet photos, and countless stage appearances where his style has taken center stage. You might see him in a lace top one day, a tailored suit the next, or a layered mix of streetwear and high fashion that defies easy labels. The key is intention. He said in interviews that he approaches fashion the same way he approaches a song, with a clear emotional message in mind. That's why his style never feels random. Whether it's an Alexander McQueen jacket paired with earrings or a baggy silk shirt, there's a balance between softness and personality. His looks in music videos like Kick It and Favorite show how he combines grace with strength, transforming ideas of masculinity into something more inclusive and expressive. And it makes you think, if fashion were a language, Yuta would be fluent in every dialect. But Yuta's influence isn't just by his style or stage presence, it's also by the way he connects with people who may have felt lost in their own lives. For fans in Japan, Korea, and beyond, seeing someone confidently embrace more diverse shades of color means something. His global fan base has shared countless stories of how his presence has given them the courage to wear what they love, try a new hairstyle, or walk into a room without shrinking. He's starred in high-profile fashion campaigns, collaborated with top designers, and spoken openly about the value of being true to yourself, even under pressure. And in a world where trends can fade in a matter of weeks, that message still resonates. So here's my question to you. If you had the chance to step into the spotlight, would you rather blend in or stand out? Share your thoughts below. Because perhaps, as Yuta has shown us, the true power of art and fashion lies not in pleasing everyone, but in inspiring someone, somewhere, to see themselves differently. And here in this space, that's exactly the kind of conversation we want to maintain. Honest, fun, and welcoming to everyone. If you've ever heard Kihyun sing live, you know it's more than just a performance. It's an event. His voice doesn't just touch the notes, it colors them with rich, unforgettable tones. In Monsta X, he's known as the main vocalist, but that title seems small compared to what he does. Every high note he hits feels like it's coming from deep within his soul, straight to you. And here's the cool thing. Kihyun isn't afraid to pair that powerful voice with bold, boundary-pushing looks. Whether it's a metallic suit that shimmers under the spotlights, or a sheer blouse that hugs his every move, he turns the stage into a runway. This isn't a coincidence. Fans have followed his changing style through magazine covers, music videos, and live performances. It's a deliberate mix of bold cuts, flowing silhouettes, and unexpected accessories that prove confidence is the best outfit you can wear. But the real question is, when you see someone so in control of their style, do you want to play it safe or take a leap into something you've never dared to try? For Kihyun, fashion is more than just clothes. It's a language, and he speaks it fluently. His airport style alone fills an entire mood board. Wide-leg pants paired with subtle jewelry, blazers in unmistakable hues, and yes, the occasional silk shirt that flows as if it has its own choreography. This kind of performance isn't about shock value. It's about telling a story without saying a word. You see, in the fickle world of K-pop, image is often tightly controlled. Yet Kihyun still manages to incorporate his own personal touch into every look, every photo shoot, every music video cameo. Fans often say that you can tell when he's involved in the styling decisions. There's a certain playfulness, a quiet elegance that invites you to take a closer look. And that's important, because in an age when young people all over the world are questioning who they are and how they want to be perceived, seeing someone being true to themselves without apologizing might be the push they need. Which makes me wonder, if your wardrobe could tell the world exactly who you are, what story would it tell? What makes Kihyun so powerful isn't just that he dresses differently or sings with emotion, it's that he does it with respect for his audience and himself. Over the years, he has built a reputation not just as an artist, but as someone who shows up for the whole thing. Whether it's belting out a soulful ballad or hitting the red carpet in an outfit that breaks all the rules and rewrites them. The ripple effect is real. Young fans have shared stories of how his music has given them the courage to try new things, to express themselves more openly, to see the beauty in what makes them different. And maybe that's the point. He's not trying to be anyone other than himself, but sometimes the quietest actions leave the deepest mark. If you could inspire someone you've never met just by being true to yourself, what's the first thing you'd do differently tomorrow? When Ren steps onto the stage, the atmosphere changes, as if someone has flipped a dimmer switch in the room. There are no flashy performances or dazzling fireworks, just a quiet presence that commands attention. Born Choi Min-ki, he first came to the public's attention as a member of New Est, but his influence has always extended beyond K-pop choreography and pop tunes. From day one, Ren has been different. With his blonde hair framing his delicate features, sharp eyeliner that accentuates his soft yet powerful gaze, and outfits that combine soft fabrics with bold cuts, he doesn't just wear clothes, he tells stories with them. In an industry known for sleek uniformity, he appears as an artist painting new colors on an old canvas. His presence is more than style, it's conviction, a visual statement that not giving up is a powerful thing. It makes you wonder, when was the last time you saw someone so steadfast in their own truth that it made you rethink what's possible? Ren's artistry thrives in a space where performance becomes identity. On stage, his voice is distinct, clear enough to cut through heavy instrumentals, yet with a warmth that softens the edges. On songs like Face, his emotional delivery lends a powerful gravitas to a song about resilience and self-worth. On Bet Bet, the way he moves, precise yet graceful, blurs the line between masculine confidence and gentle vulnerability. Off stage, Ren's fashion becomes an extension of that narrative. He was photographed in sophisticated blouses paired with structured blazers over crisp shirts and runway-inspired outfits that didn't quite fit the definition of male or female. Television viewers saw him on shows with long hair and heavy makeup, smiling as if the stares and comments were just background noise. It wasn't a rebellion for attention. It was a firm, consistent statement that fashion is a living language, and Ren spoke it fluently and subtly. Which made me curious, if your style was the only introduction someone gave you, what story would it tell? For countless young fans around the world, many of whom live in spaces where expressing themselves fully is a risky proposition, Ren has become living proof that authenticity can be a unique form of success. He has built his career not by fitting in, but by embracing the very qualities that make him different. In interviews and fan meetings, his warmth is unmistakable. He remembers faces, listens attentively, and encourages with the same sincerity he brings to his music. He has been outspoken about not wanting to limit himself, reminding people that life is too short for rigid definitions. That message resonates far beyond the concert hall. It spills into classrooms, offices, and bedrooms, where someone is quietly wondering if they can step outside of their true selves. Ren's impact proves that presence matters, not as a spotlight, but as a beacon for those still struggling to find their way. And in a world obsessed with being the loudest voice, he shows that quiet confidence can resonate forever. So let me finish. If you could inspire someone with your sincerity without saying a word, how would you begin? Thank you so much for watching and joining this conversation. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the subscribe button and check out more inspiring stories right here on our channel. See you in the next video. Stay healthy, be true to yourself, and keep shining.